I frantically tore off my clothes until I was left only in my underwear, but I still felt unbearably hot. Soon I started having trouble breathing and the ventilation pipe beside me kept blowing out hot air. At this rate, I would surely die from the heat by afternoon. I was originally a reporter, hoping to get an exclusive story about this new tunnel. I arrived here early to conduct the interview, but as soon as I entered the tunnel, white smoke appeared. The workers needed to inspect it immediately, so they locked me inside the safety chamber. Although safe, it was extremely confined, and after the workers left, they never returned. I guessed something must have happened outside. The temperature in the sealed chamber kept rising. I wanted to get out, but the door had expanded from the heat and wouldn't open. Now I could only wait for the rescue team to return. Soon the temperature inside reached 50 degrees Celsius. Just as I was about to collapse, I suddenly noticed someone in the neighboring chamber. I started calling for help, but he refused to open the door because the pressure on both sides was different. Opening the door recklessly could be fatal. The only way now was to pressurize my side. Soon I felt ringing in my ears and some suffocation. I felt extremely uncomfortable. My head felt like it would explode. After a sharp pain, the pressurization was finally complete. Under the man's guidance, I turned a nearby valve and successfully opened the chamber door. The man immediately shut off the ventilation pipe on our side. Once rescued, I grabbed some water and drank it greedily, but when I realized it, I found we were still in another sealed chamber. I still couldn't get back to the surface, and 2 workers were trapped here as well. But since Jack had just closed the ventilation pipe, the hot air from the neighboring chamber wouldn't come over for now, so we had enough time to wait for rescue. But if the oxygen ran out, we would still die. I wanted to call for help, but there was no signal here. I wanted to open the door to escape, but Jack stopped me. He said the outside was full of thick smoke. Opening the door would suffocate us. So now the only option was to wait for rescue. As the oxygen dwindled, I suddenly remembered something. When I entered the tunnel, a worker had given me a package. It contained an oxygen bag and protective suit, but it was only enough for one person. Thinking of my daughter waiting at home, I decided to prioritize saving myself. When the 2 of them fell asleep, I quietly took the only survival kit. To use the oxygen alone, I gently picked up the valve, planning to lock the door connecting the 2 chambers, but the sound of turning the valve woke them up. Jack saw the oxygen tank on the ground and immediately understood my intention. Seeing this, Tom tied me to a corner. I apologized to them, but they didn't want to forgive my selfishness. Suddenly, there was a noise from the tunnel. Jack went to check and found several rescuers arriving. Then he told Tom to untie me, but as we prepared to depressurize and open the door according to the rescuers' instructions, a violent explosion suddenly occurred outside. I didn't know what had happened, but realized my shoes had melted. Could it be that the 3 of us were all going to die here?